Welcome to UGC Patashala course titled Japanese History and Society. Module number 31. Today's lesson is San Francisco Peace Treaty. Overview of the course is just the end game, that is ending the war game. Then Asia Pacific post Second World War. What is the situation after the war in the Asia Pacific region will be the second part of the whole lesson. Then we have tenets of the San Francisco Peace Treaty, that is what is the content of the treaty and what are the implications of the treaty immediately to Japan and to rest of East Asia. And then implications of the treaty actually is on Japanese national identity, that Japan as a nation, what has been the implication on it of the treaty, either by accepting or remaining a partner with the US. Then on the whole of East Asian region, how did this treaty impact? And then we have something concept called Yoshida Doctrine. This doctrine we come to this little later, is another thing which has impacted both in economic terms and security terms the whole national behavior since the end of World War II. Then we have the treaty and the US alliance system, meaning simultaneously signed with the peace treaty is also an alliance treaty with US, that is Japan US Mutual Security Treaty. Together, this has impacted Japan's rise and stagnation in post World War II period till now. Then the whole thing summing up in a way the San Francisco system in the 21st century. As most of the students understand in general language, the year 1941 to year 1944 is the period actually termed as Second World War period or the Pacific War period. Actually, 1945 February, Yalta Conference was held, in which United States, Britain and the Soviet Union met in Yalta. US was represented by President Roosevelt, Britain was represented by Churchill and Soviet Union was represented by Stalin to discuss the organization of the peace and international order after World War II was the task of this conference. And then we have creation of United Nations in the year 1945, issued also trusteeships territories in allies, actually dividing Europe and Germany, Italy, Poland, also dividing in Asia, Korean Peninsula, Japan under the US trusteeship, and Soviet Union China alliance also was formed. America versus Soviet spheres of influence also was created because of this treaty and post the treaty, post the World War II. With this, seeds of Cold War was sown as a result of Yalta system. July 1945 was the year Potsdam Declaration was done. US, Britain, Republic of China also calling for Japan to surrender and warning of inevitable destruction, utter devastation of homeland. Japan did not pay any heed. This was some kind of a situation which was actually calling war or inviting war. Hiroshima and Nagasaki was the inevitable happening, that is dropping of nuclear bombs by United States on Japan, and Japan surrendered on the USS Missouri, and unforeseen developments in East Asia that happened between 1945 to 1951. That is actually occupation period we call. Under the leadership of US, Japan was occupied and Allied occupation happened between this period. This is a slide in front of Nagasaki church. A devotee was just standing, expressing his astonishing situation and also surprise, and even Missouri that happened just because of bombing by US on Nagasaki city. Similarly, on Hiroshima city also bomb was dropped. August 15th, 1945 is the day remembered throughout and especially in Japan, as Japan surrendered to bring end to the World War II. This is the picture of public gathering in Japan where emperor on radio making an announcement of surrendering to the victor, that is to US, and then surrendering to the occupation authority. This is a picture of Tokyo's Kanda area, Kanda district, which lie in ruins soon after the end of the World War II, provided by Asahi Shimbun. This is picture of 1948, a situation, actually it is a station in Oshiage district of Tokyo. This is how Japan was rebuilt, the same Oshiage district, and as it stood in the year 1982. Nishi-Jukembashi Bridge of Tokyo in 1963. Now the same bridge in the year 2012, how it stands, and in the background is one of the tallest broadcasting tower in the world, which is called Tokyo Sky Tree. In the post-Pacific War period, how the Asia-Pacific situation stands, we can take a look. 1945 is the year to be remembered for surrender of Japan to the occupation authorities or Allied authorities. 1945 to 1952 is the period actually American occupation of Japan happened under its trusteeship, led by SCAP, that is Supreme Command for Allied Power. General Douglas MacArthur was the leader. Troop presence was another major important thing. That is, close to 47,000 US troops are present in Japan, of which 27,000 troops are present in Okinawa itself and remaining at different places. Then the goal of the democratization and goal of demilitarization was set by the occupation authorities. And in the year 1948, Berlin blockade, outset of Cold War in Europe happened, and its replica can also be seen in Asia. 1949, People's Republic of China was formed. America's loss of China happened, thereby fear of spread of communism also began. In the year 1950, Korean War occurred. Actually, it went on 50 to 52. At the onset of Cold War in Asia, this is a situation between nations that we witness. Post-World War II situation in the Asia-Pacific was like this. Onset of Korean War was between the year 1950 and 52. It was in 53 it was concluded. US, South Korea versus Soviet Union, North Korea, and later China also joined, and US sought help from Japan. Japan and the Korean War, if you can take a look, United States under John Dulles was looking to rearm Japan. This was very important part. Prime Minister Yoshida cited Article 9 and demilitarized policy, renunciation of war. Article 9 of Japanese 1947 Constitution is very important. Till today, under whatever circumstances, to whatever extent, these constitutions remain unamended. And of course, the present government is attempting to amend some part of it. Article 9 of this constitution is very important. That is the heart of the constitution. That is the crux of the constitution. Article 9 actually says Japan renounces its right of war as an instrument of settling international disputes. And now this is the article which is being attempted for amendment and under due process only. Japan needed US to protect its territory against any attack by other external forces, as it was actually it was debuting on a security policy, and Japanese security policy is still being articulated. It is still evolving under the given fast changing East Asian security architecture. And meanwhile, US needed Japan to station its own troops and also military base against Soviet Union and spread of communism, as Soviet Union and China almost were in a mood to expand their sphere of influence of communism, and Japan needed to act with US, and US needed to take Japan into confidence in guarding against China and their Soviet Union and Chinese efforts together to spread communism. Thus, it decided to sign the peace treaty and subsequent security treaty with Japan. Japan and the Korean War. Japanese first Prime Minister Yoshida Shigeru and his cabinet agreed on limited 50,000 security force under a security planning headquarter under the Ministry of National Security. Temporary arrangement helped Japan postpone the decision to develop its own security policy. At the same time, Japan's short-term interest met US strategic interests. Signing of San Francisco Peace Treaty with Allied power actually was a very, very good thing as far as Japan is concerned. Japan's security is concerned, Japan's freedom is concerned, and also Japan's subsequent economic development is concerned. Bilateral security treaty of mutual friendship and cooperation was also signed. Important contents of the San Francisco Peace Treaty. Actually, it has preamble and 7 chapters. 48 countries signed with Japan. Japan surrendered territories, former territories as empire it held. Taiwan, Northern Territories, and Paracel and Spratleys, and even Pacific Islands. Ryukyu Islands, this is Okinawa actually, under US administration and jurisdiction. Japan also allowed to enter collective security arrangements, and also it granted collective self-defense as per Article 51 of United Nations Charter, and also to refrain from use of force, threat of use of force against territorial integrity or political independence of state. Allied countries could station troops on Japanese soil only if a bilateral or multilateral agreement was signed. Japanese participation in the International Military Tribunal for the Far East and other Allied war crimes courts, and reparations and claims of Japan to other Asia Pacific countries was also contained in the treaty. Implications of the San Francisco Peace Treaty can be recounted on the Japanese identity as a nation. Now, from occupation to alliance, that is, from the occupation of a foreign authorities or set of authorities from the year 1945 to 1952 was the occupation period. Now, that period actually got over and Japan entered into a system of alliance. Japan as a shield and US as a sword. Japan actually became a showcase of economic success and democratic values as opposed to communist states. And here we can say a few things. The treaty that was signed on the same day as of San Francisco Peace Treaty was US-Japan Mutual Security Treaty, and once this got into operation, Japan actually had very little freedom under the treaty obligations to expand its own military or even to spend more on its own annual defense budget. However, totally Japan depended upon United States to provide security, that is securing Japan's territory from any external attack, and in case of any such attack, then US could come to the rescue of Japan to secure its territory. Now, this actually has come as a big gain for Japan, so that its own defense budget could be saved, and all the savings that accrued because of US writing off of Japanese security, all such saving could go as an investment to rebuild Japan post World War II from destruction to as one of the greatest economic power in Asia. So, we have this kind of a transition from occupation to alliance, and also we have Japan emerging from economic destruction due to war in the post-war period. Due to this treaty, Japan becoming on its own and by trial and error method under the guidance of US economic planning, Japan emerging as one of the greatest economic powers in Asia. Besides Japan getting a new identity in the world post-World War II period, also it was accommodated in the very liberal democratic order world over, and thanks to US guidance, thanks to US pressure, thanks to US alliance, Japan also could actually enter into liberal order in post-World War II period. It got entry into Bretton Woods institutions, GATT, that is a General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, and also technological and financial assistance from Western countries Japan qualified, and also the US alliance system into which Japan prominently figured as far as Asia Pacific region is concerned. One word on Japanese foreign policy, the implications because of the treaty. Yoshida Doctrine came into prominence. That Prime Minister Yoshida, that is Shigeru Yoshida, the first Prime Minister of Japan, actually accepted all guidance from US, and Yoshida doctrine came to prominent role. That is simply economics and politics need to be separated. Here, as far the treaty is concerned, economics and security aspects are to be separated clearly, and security to be provided by the US and economic development totally to be involved in and helped by Japanese government, its policy, its own resources itself. And Japan actually thus separated economic from security interest, and it's called Saikebundri. And dependence on the US served Japanese interest very well. The Japanese bargain, it could not establish peace treaty with Soviet Union till today. Communist China immediately for some time. But however, in the year 1978, with Communist China, Japan has signed a peace treaty, and others in the Eastern Bloc. 1952, under the US influence, signed peace treaty with Republic of China, that is actually what we call Taiwan. Until 1972, Japan recognized Republic of China, that is Taiwan, as legitimate representative of China in the United Nations Security Council, and long-term hampering of China-Japan relation is clear impact of this. The Yoshida doctrine, you can take some details from here. The Yoshida doctrine was named after Japan's then first Prime Minister after World War II, Shigeru Yoshida. This was a strategy adopted post World War II under the first Japanese Prime Minister, that is Shigeru Yoshida. In this, economic aspects were to be majorly focused upon and to reconstructed war-ravaged Japan's domestic economy, while the security alliance with the United States would take care of Japanese security requirements and challenges as well. The Yoshida doctrine shaped Japanese foreign policy throughout the post-World War II period, even during the Cold War period and thereafter too. Implications of the San Francisco Peace Treaty on the region of East Asia can also be recounted, that China and others were also satisfied with US-Japan alliance in the sense that it put a cap on the bottle, limiting Japan's militarism and possibilities of rearmament. This actually pushed Japan only to remain towards establishing peace within and without Japanese national territories and within the region of East Asia. This actually helped other countries too for a while. Security dilemma and arms race also was brought under control because of this treaty. Emergence of a bipolar system in East Asia as a result of the treaty happened. The peace treaty and the US alliance system. Year 1951, US signed San Francisco Peace Treaty and Security Treaty with Japan. Signed also bilateral security treaty with New Zealand, Australia and the Philippines. SEATO, that is Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, later also included South Korea and Taiwan. It spread actually a hub and spoke alliance system in the region. Role of John Foster Dulles and Eisenhower is very important in the treaty. The pacts of restraint, actually this is to restrict armament or aggression by individual regimes to regulate international relations and also specifically in the Asia Pacific. War, peace and alliance system. Asia versus Europe was actually set in San Francisco Treaty, that is 1951, versus actually NATO, that is North American Treaty Organization of 1949. Bilateral versus multilateral. Then role of Japan versus Germany in the US alliance system. Now, what is the San Francisco system in the 21st century and how it appears can be taken a look. While SEATO, that is Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, Warsaw Pact collapsed, we see North American Treaty Organization, that is NATO and San Francisco system still existing. Post collapse of the Soviet Union, Cold War tensions still persist in East Asia. Korean Peninsula remains still divided, that is between North Korea and South Korea. Historical animosity between China and Japan even today continues. We see it regarding many historical issues, also in particular territorial disputes that exist between. Actually, the issue of Senkaku Islands, East China Sea can be cited. and also we can see that how during war Japan, as a part of its empire, actually ran half of China, especially onto the eastern coast. We see virtually all the war ravages and all the war crimes that Japan had committed in China coming in volumes and available for anyone through some of the history textbooks to understand how Japan behaved there. And Russia and Japan peace treaty is actually not yet signed. Very last week, Putin and Abe, that is uh, two leaders from Japan and Russia, they have met in a place in actually Russia itself, and they have tried to have a new approach to this historical dispute, how to resolve northern territory issues. That is the four main islands, actually Habomai, Shikotan, Yatarofu and Kunashiri, which is disputed between Russia and Japan. How to resolve that? More than resolving the territorial disputes, the real crux of the matter is Japan trying to volunteer huge investment in Chinese economic development and order. Actually, around Siberia region, lot of natural resources available there has not so far been extracted by Russia, and Japan wants to lend a extending helping hand to Russia in this task, so that expect some soft approach in resolving northern territorial issues. Anyway, Japan's foreign policy defined in terms of security policy is as different from economic policy. US-Japan alliance heading towards power symmetry, burden sharing, Japan looking to reinterpret right to collective self-defense. Initial threat is Soviet Union, spread of communism, now alliance, more global to tackle terrorism, maritime policy, weapons of mass destruction, that is WMD, as well as Chinese military modernization. This actually is a Japanese term. Alliance system moving from tackling security challenges to defending status quo. Some of the questions that you can raise at the end of this module is, do you think international relations in East Asia resemble the Cold War? Meaning it is same as Cold War environment, or it's much different because of the San Francisco Peace Treaty alliance system. How did US-Japan relations get transformed after the Second World War? It becomes very clear for you to understand once you go through the content of what has been taught till now. What did United States want Japan to rearm? Why actually US wants it? US actually wants to withdraw from the burden economically it is facing by stationing its troops world over, and also acting sometimes as a policeman for the world. And therefore, why did US want Japan to rearm becomes quite a interesting question. How has Japan's identity changed in the post-Pacific War? Why did America push for a peace treaty between Japan and the Allied powers? What was Japan's role in San Francisco system, and how was Japan's integration in East Asia different from Germany in Europe? Why is there a NATO-like NATO in Europe and not in Asia? Has the San Francisco alliance system limited the scope of Asian unity and regionalism? Can Japan afford to follow Yoshida doctrine in the 21st century? These are some of the questions that will emerge within you once you have followed the contents of this module.